All right. Sorry for the delay, family. So welcome. I'm taught in the nation that we're supposed to open all meetings in prayer. So I'm just going to do a short prayer. Follow me silently. In the name of God, the beneficent, the most merciful, the true, and the living God, I bear witness that there is no God but He who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. I further bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is indeed his messenger, and that the Honorable Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan is their servant in our midst. I mean. So tonight we're here to talk about fasting. So another thing I wanted to say is that we are doing this as a tribe. So I do want to adhere to different tribe rules and normalities, if you will. So that being said, slightly different, but in the same vein, why don't we start off and say, something positive and maybe a challenge that we've dealt with when it comes to fasting. If we fast in the past or if we haven't, what are the apprehensions that you might be facing?
Okay. So I'll go first. You said something positive and then a challenge?
Yes.
Okay. So for me, fasting in the past, for me, I would say the positive is I've always seen when I stick to it, I've always seen how my level of discipline in other areas of my life have been impacted. So I feel like it just allows me to, I feel like it's the quickest and easiest way to just sort of level up in terms of discipline and just willpower and just being able to execute on things. So that's one of the biggest things for me that I've noticed. And a challenge for me is, actually saw a quote where somebody says, if you're not praying and studying while you're fasting, you're just going hungry. So I feel like I need to pray and study even more diligently while I fast. That's something that I have yet to really make that a focus in my fast. And so this time I would like that to be different and actually make that my focus in the fast. And I'm just really kind of excited and just really interested to see the changes within myself once I do that.
I concur with all of that. Yes, ma'am. Brother, so Sister Taylor, we're just like we do in our regular classes. We are going to mention one thing that, first of all, one thing that is positive experience, if you will, with fasting, if you fasted before, and something that may be a challenge if you fasted before, and then if you have not fasted before, what might have been an apprehension or something that stopped you from wanting to do so or doing so.
So for me, first of all, assalamu alaikum, you guys. I'm happy to be here. And I would say for me, I've never actually tried to fast because I honestly just found out about it recently. And I've been breastfeeding this whole time, so I have heard that I'm not supposed to do it while I'm nursing. But on some days, like now that she's older, on some days I will have only fruit and milk all day, so it doesn't really count as a fast, but I was trying to start myself off in that way so that I could be ready to take more away, because I think from what I understand is that you shouldn't dive into it. You should just kind of like eat less and then take more away as you go. But yeah, actually I'm pretty excited to do fast. I'm on book 2 right now of how to eat this, so I'm like stop something so that I can start fasting. So yeah, I'm excited.
That's awesome.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We got more coming in. Sister Kit Kat Dangerous is joining us. So go ahead, Brother Slate.
Peace and blessings to you all in the group. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. And I'm actually processing into the nation right now. And so I've been doing a study group. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And as far as fasting, I grew up in a Christian home, a preacher's kid. And so I'm 39. I actually haven't been in church since probably about 27. And when it came to fasting, I was back a young boy. And when I fasted then, it was just more of instruction. And so I have fasted before as far as seeing the benefit from what I was asking for or whatnot at that time. Like I said, I was young and I wasn't, I probably really didn't understand it. It was more of just why I had to do it. And so I have fasted, but I haven't seen a positive from it in that sense or that regard. And then as far as now a challenge, I think the challenge for me will be doing the 3-day, putting my mind to it, staying dedicated, doing from the Thursday night to the Sunday night, water and coffee. So that's a challenge that I see coming with it, but I'm really ready to take it on. So I appreciate you all for coming up with this in the tribe, and I look forward to having positive results from the creator for it, leveling up, like Sister Shaba said, and learning and growing at the same time. So
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. For those who just joined, so keeping in line with the way the rest of the classes are handled, we started giving testimony as to positives and or negatives when it comes to our experience with fasting. If we have not had any experience fasting, what might be an apprehension or obstacle? We've heard from everyone except for myself, Sister Kit Kat, Sister Tierra, and Brother Jason, who just got in. Well, I'll go while I get y'all thoughts together. So for me personally, I've been on this journey for about 6 years, about 6 years, 6 and some change. And my first experience fasting was beautiful. Well, I should say the first time that I completed a fast. I didn't actually complete a fast until maybe a year after attempting to do so. And it was the most profound feeling I've ever had, like physically. So having the experience of trying and failing and then finally completing one. And when I did on the 3rd day, waking up, I remember being able to get out of bed without yawning or stretching. I remember the feeling of being light. I just felt very light. I felt no tension, it's like I woke up and just rose out of the bed. And, so that for me is something I've always been chasing, kind of like that first high. I've never experienced it for a second time. I have my theories as to why that is. But that first one, that's what I'm chasing. And since then, I've had times where I didn't complete the fast plenty of times. So it's not like I completed it the first time and I've done it consistently. And it's an uphill road. And then, like I said in the group chat the other day, or was that yesterday? It's always been a challenge trying to fast physically and then fast spiritually. I've probably only done that once, and that was during the month of Ramadan. So that's a little different though. But Brother Jason, Sister Kit Kat, Sister Tierra, you have anything?
Hey, can I ask a question real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
Brother Daniel, what do you mean by fasting spiritually?
So that's a good question. So I prepared some notes and stuff, and I'm gonna get into that. So fasting. So I'll go into that real quick. So I looked up the definition of fasting in Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Doesn't exist. They go to, like, if you type it in online, first of all, they don't have it inside of the physical dictionary. They don't have it in there, or this is dictionary and thesaurus. They don't have it in there. So when I looked up online, under thesaurus, all they had was, it says, pardon me, I gotta find a lot of notes here. I'm looking at the wrong one, I'm sorry. All right, fasting is as in a diet. So fasting is, according to Merriam-Webster's thesaurus, is as in dieting. Fasting is the present participle of the word fast. So when you talk about fasting, all right, so let me go back. So it also wasn't in dictionary.com. So what I did, I had to go to Google search, and Google search's definition of fasting is abstaining from food or drink, especially in religious observance. So when we talk about fasting, we're talking about abstaining from something. It's not necessary. That's one of the things I want to get into tonight, is that it's not necessarily dealing with food. It's also a spiritual thing, because to fast is to abstain. And to abstain is to choose to not do something. It's not the same thing as being deprived. A person who is locked up, or a person who is homeless and can't afford to eat and doesn't eat for 3 days isn't fasting for 3 days. That person is deprived of food. A person who has it available and abstains or chooses to stay away from eating, drinking, having sex, going to sleep, that person is then fasting. So a spiritual fast, or spiritual fasting, is when you choose to abstain from things that hinder your spiritual growth in a negative way.
I love you too.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I actually have some thoughts I want to add on that, but I want to finish these intros and then we can really dive in.
Yes, ma'am. Did that make sense, Sister Kikat?
Yes. So I just got off a 3-day fast of food. I did it for clarity. So during the 3-day fast, I pretty much was in a lot of prayer and meditation just so I could clear some negativity that was in my mind. I think it was very beneficial. And right now I'm kind of winging myself off to start here. So I had started doing the interval eating, where I would eat in between a certain amount of hours.
Right. Anyone else?
Cool. Well, I've been fasting like a long time, but I hadn't done a full fast. I just do like the intermediate fast. So I don't eat, and I only eat once a day. So I've been taught to do that. Like my mother and my father always taught me to eat like that. So I'm just regularly, that's how I eat. So I don't eat until probably right around now, which I am hungry, but right. So I've just been drinking. I drink water all out throughout the day, but as far as taking it past that level, I hadn't really had like no food or just did a water fast. But you know, I'm gonna take it there this time. I'm gonna push myself.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. Absolutely. Okay, Sister Tierra, would you like to share before we get started? Okay, I'll take that as a no. All right, so Sister Shave, you said you had something you wanted to follow up on that Sister Kit said.
Yes, sir. I don't know. Does Tiara know that she's on mute? Maybe she doesn't know she's on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry, you guys.
Okay.
My fault.
I was saying for this fast, yeah, I need to learn a lot of discipline. I know that this would teach me that, especially like, with the classes. I know like some of us have been out of school for so long, so trying to get to this grind of like every day and the studying and trying to put your work in. I think this fast will help with my discipline and, eating choices. I try to be kind of cautious what I eat anyway, but it would help. I know it would help. But yeah, I'm ready.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Sister Shayla.
Yes, sir. So as you were speaking, and you said you tried to find a definition of the word fast, I thought that is so interesting. So, growing up in the Nation of Islam, and actually my grandparents were also in the Nation of Islam, I just kind of accepted it as like, oh, it's just what you do, So I never really thought to even look up the definition of that. And so I looked it up really quick, and then I also wanted to look up the etymology of the word fast. And so what I found so interesting, although it wasn't related, this particular definition wasn't related to the practice of fasting or abstaining from food, but it said, one of the definitions that caught my eye was, it said firmly fixed or fastened. And then another one was, when I looked up the etymology, it said firm or solid. or strongly. And so for me, that kind of resonated because when I think about fasting, I think about making myself firmer in my dedication and my commitment to whatever it is that I'm fasting from, to whatever my goals are or things that I'm trying to accomplish in my life. And I definitely feel like just by becoming sharper in our discipline through fasting, it definitely makes us stronger, not only mentally, and stronger in terms of our will and stronger in terms of our discipline. But it really does, when I think about that word firm, I think about it really does reinforce us and kind of give us that foundation to build on top of. And so I'm so glad that you said that, because that reinforced for me mentally just the value of fasting itself and just how that affects so many different areas to where it becomes like a characteristic of how we live.
Right, exactly. See, I seen those same words and terms when I looked it up. So when I looked it up, I actually looked up fasting. What I noticed is that the site would switch the word to fast, so take the ing off and give you their definition of fast. And it was always something dealing with something being fastened into place or something being held firmly or rooted. And so I'm gonna go over this one more time. So I wrote, I just want to follow my notes. What is fasting? According to Merriam-Webster's thesaurus, fasting is the present participle of fast, as in dieting. Fasting, according to Google search, is to abstain from all or some kinds of foods or drink, especially as a religious observance. And so the reality that you don't see the definition for fast when it as it deals with abstaining from food in the dictionaries, and I'm not sure, because dictionaries change over time. There could be a reason for that. We know they've taken words out the dictionary and added in words that probably don't need to be there. That's another story, right? But I wanted to reiterate that because it's important that we understand, if this is such a it's a huge thing in the world. Like, there are more than 2 billion Muslims on the planet that believe in fasting. But also in the Bible, there's talk about Jesus and him fasting for a certain period of time. So if this isn't reflected in the dictionary, if this isn't reflected in this world's vernacular, if you will, then we have to ask ourselves why, first of all. And then we have to avail ourselves to the scriptures that actually give us some frame of reference as to what fasting is and why it's important. And so I've already pulled up in both the Quran and the Bible different verses that are relating to fasting. So beginning with the Holy Quran in chapter 2, the cow, section 23, verse 183, it reads, and the section is actually called fasting. O you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you, as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may guard against evil. And that's something that we say often in the nation, because our part of our mission is as individuals to do our best to abstain from evil doing to ourselves or to others. And so I looked up the definition of prescribed, and I looked at the definition of prescription. So prescribed, of a medical practitioner, advise and authorize the use of for a medicine or treatment for someone, especially in writing. Recommend a substance or action as something beneficial. State authoritatively or as a rule that an action or procedure should be carried out. Now, according to that definition, and that word being used in this particular scripture, is telling us that this is an order, this is a rule, this is something that is being given to us by someone who is an authority figure, if you will, by someone who sees that this is a necessity for our lives, right? So fast forward and we go to the Bible, and in Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 through 11, I'm gonna read the whole thing, 1 through 11. Bear with me. Then was Jesus led, and we should be familiar with this scripture. Then when Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil, And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, sorry, all right, fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Then the devil taketh him up into the city and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple, and saith unto him, if thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in their hands they shall bear thee up, lest any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. Jesus said unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them, and saith unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me. Then saith Jesus unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. Now, I thought that, so we're taught in the nation that the Bible and the Quran are not opposites. They are actually one, or they are verifiers of each other. They bear witness to one another, and that they are texts taken from a larger text. And it's clear there that these two are bearing witness to one another. Now, fasting is something that we're prescribed. The terminology prescribed is used in the Quran, but in the Bible, we're seeing why. It's like the Quran is verifying the Bible because the Quran came afterwards. So it's telling us to go back and look, right? Jesus's whole issue with Satan on the mountain was that he was being tempted. He was being tempted to submit to Satan. He was being tempted to, go after the riches before he sought the kingdom, if you will. And it was mentioned at the beginning that this came after a 40-day fast. So it's interesting that fasting is then related to being able to fight off the temptation of Satan. And the messenger tells us in How to Eat to Live, and a message to the Black man that, fasting, or I reminded prophets, the believer, and that fasting is the greatest, pardon me, while I pull it up. Fasting is is basically the greatest force against, or to guard us against evil and indecency. So fasting protects us from evil and indecency. And so that's kind of what I wanted to base this off of, because that then gives you the spiritual aspect. You can abstain. And so the messenger also wrote in How to Eat to Live. Let me just pull my books. I got a whole bunch of books over here. That's my other book. Family, give me 1 second.
And while you're doing that, I just wanted to also add that fasting is a practice that is not even limited to just Islam or Christianity. Fasting is also a practice that you see in the East, with a lot of those old and ancient traditions where, the monks or the priests or the medicine men, even in Native American culture right here in America, they all have a practice of fasting for a prescribed specific number of days in order to achieve either healing for their health, or to achieve spiritual enlightenment, or even as a rite of passage. So it's really beautiful that we kind of see this universal practice of fasting, which is not just limited to, a religious practice, but is really rooted in the fundamentals of just human development. And also, it to me, is kind of like an ancient practice that's kind of a right of ours to have, that was kind of taken away from us during just being in this American culture, and our brains being, or our minds being readulterated in the process of, making a slave. And that goes into a whole lot of, dietary practices, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with. but dietary practices that were given to us. And it just makes you ask the question, why were these dietary practices given to us if we know that there's a direct relation between our mental clarity and acuity, our level of discipline to affect action, as well as our relationship with God and ability to fight opposing forces, or like Satan, as Brother Daniel mentioned in the passages that he was reading. So I feel like there's a huge connection between our diet that we have to study, as well as our position in history where we are right now as well.
Absolutely, spot on. I found the part that I was looking for. So in How to Eat to Live, the messenger writes in a section called Proper Food for Body and Mind Equals Good Health. And he says, on the coming of God, according to the Bible and the Holy Quran, he began to create a people that must and will enjoy long life and good health. They will not suffer sickness or grief and sorrow, and they will live of complete happiness. The earth is full of food, but good health cannot enter our bodies until we have the proper food in the body and the proper food for thought. If we do not have the proper food for our way of thinking, we still cannot enjoy peace, good health, joy, and gladness of heart. We can eat the best food, we can take fast for 9 days, for 20 days, or 30 days if we want to, and we will still suffer if we do not feed the brain with the right food. These two bodies, the brain and digestive tract, have much in common with one another. Whatever hurts one hurts the other. We must treat both well. And so now the purpose of this tonight isn't necessarily someone teaching. This is more of a discussion, because I actually dealt with something like this at work recently, and someone asked a question, but it was we was talking about self-defense and de-escalating. And I reminded them that everything isn't universal across the board. And it's the same thing with fasting. This is an individual journey. You know, everyone's constitution, everyone's physical constitution is different. Everyone cannot fast the same. Everyone does not, everyone can't even eat the same food. Some of us are allergic to some things, and some of us just don't have the same access, if you will. So I already laid the foundation, and I really wanted to know if anyone had any questions. I can keep going if you want me to, but if anyone had any questions that they want answered, or is there anything that stood out to anybody that they want to comment on, or something of that nature?
Peace and blessings. I didn't really have any questions. I like how you gave us the reference and some type of foundation of, our background history of fasting, and you related it to the Quran and the Bible and how it's been taken away from us. You and Sister Shayba, that's been taken out of our knowledge, out of being passed down, as far as why it's important and how it would help our bodies. So that was good to learn tonight. I guess one of the questions that I have is, as we set these individual fasts, are we trying to do a collective abstinence together of everything, or is it everyone seek their own thing to abstain from during that period of time for the 3 days? Or is it everybody don't eat if you can and just do the coffee and water?
Well, to answer that, I would say, again, it's individual, so it has to kind of stay that way until at least we know we've all had a certain degree of experience. Like, we know everyone had a certain degree of experience. We'll say, okay, as a group, this group here, we're all going to commit to no food, only coffee, or no food, only water, or none at all. Because when I fast, I don't drink anything. I don't drink coffee, tea, or water if I can help it when I'm doing my best. So that being said, understand that when you enter into the realm of fasting, you have to go at your own pace. Now, so you said you haven't fasted before, right, brother?
Yeah, but it was years ago. I have.
All right. So I would say for you, abstain from the food if you need to drink coffee or tea or water because you feel like you need to stop the hunger pains. That's an individual choice that you have to make. But I want to reiterate what I said in the group the other day. You should try to, especially if you're someone who does physical labor, work at 75%. You know what I mean? Give 75% of the physical energy. You know, mental energy does it does expend, if you will, and so I wouldn't so much say, you know, dumb yourself down, but physically try not to work at the same pace as you would while you're eating normally, because your body's not going to have the same level of energy, especially if you're not used to fasting. I can keep going the same way because I've trained myself to do so over a certain period of time. But I would say everyone's probably on the same page as far as abstaining from physical food. Now, the parameters of that is typically on Thursday, we eat our last meal. And we're taught to eat between the hours of 4 and 6. I've heard it say two ways: eat between the hours of 4 and 6, or you can begin to eat between the hours of 4 and 6. So if you started eating at 6 o'clock, you're fine. That's what I've heard before. But I've always tried to start and finish that meal between 4 and 6. When I'm doing my best, because no one's perfect. So that's what I would say to that.
All right.
And I'll just kind of share what my intentions were in getting the group together. And so the goal, you can, if you don't want this to be your goal, that's totally fine. But I would say the goal of the group is not only just to be an accountability group for fasting, but really to try to get us to the goal of being able to at least fast do the unity fast, the 3-day unity fast. And so that was kind of the intention behind starting the group, was to have a support for doing the 3-day unity fast. And so, of course, we don't want you doing the 3-day unity fast if you don't have experience fasting, and just reiterating what, you know, Brother Daniel already expressed. And so if you don't have experience fasting, instead of doing the 3-day unity fast, you can do 1 meal a day. And try to eat, like he said, between the hours of 4 and 6 p.m. Try to keep that time the exact same, between 4 and 6 p.m. for 3 days. And then for that 3 days, you wouldn't eat or drink anything unless, you know, you're doing some type of laborious task, or you're out in the heat or whatever. But try not to eat and drink anything until you're ready to break your fast at the end of the day. And so what that'll do is start to train up your discipline. And like he said, you will start to train up your body to be able to accommodate a little more and a little more the next time you do the fast. And so it would even be a good practice to try to make eating 1 meal a day a part of your lifestyle. And then the next month when we do the unity fast, you can try to go 1 day, 24 hours. Well, you do the 24 hours of eating 1 meal a day, but maybe 48 hours without eating food. And that will be your goal for next month. And then the next month you can try to do that again. Or just kind of measure out, you know, pay attention to your body and say, okay, next month I think I can do the 3-day fast, but definitely ease your way into it. You don't want to just jump into it if your body is not used to that.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Absolutely right. And so, does anyone else have anything before I go on?
Brother Daniel, do you have any people in the waiting room? Someone just hit the messenger app and said they couldn't join, I guess.
No, it usually pops up on the screen. I didn't see anything pop up on my screen, no. Tell them to try again.
Okay.
No one else? All right, so I want to talk about some of the benefits of fasting, right? So when we think about fasting, I think when most people think about fasting, they think about the religious observation and don't realize that there is a medical. I see something too. I keep saying that. Okay, so that there are medicinal benefits to fasting. It's really a medicinal prescription, and so some of the benefits are not just being able to, you know, discipline yourself not to eat, but it's also, like we talked about, spiritual enlightenment. It's also really about disciplining yourself to be able to break other habits. Now, one of the things that I was taught when I came in Boston in my orientation class about fasting was that, you know, it was said to me like this: fasting isn't just abstaining from food, it's also abstaining from anything else that you would normally do first nature or second nature. So it's always related to sex, and it's always related to also sleep. And whenever any individual is capable of abstaining from food, sex, or sleep for an extended period of time when it is readily available to them, that individual is capable of abstaining from anything. Those are life's three necessities. You have to be able to sleep. We should want to reproduce, and you have to eat to sustain your life, right? So if you can willfully abstain from those three actions, then there is nothing. There is no, and that's what we were dealing with in the Bible. There's nothing that this world or the world of Satan can put in front of you that you can't say to it, get thee behind me, and take charge over your will. And it, as it says at the end of that, it says, then the devil leaveth him. Remember, it says, if you resist the devil shall flee from you. It said, then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. So it was after he was able to, after fasting 40 days, he was able to deny the devil. And that's when the angels came to him as the benefit, if you will, to minister unto him. And when you minister unto someone, you provide aid, you provide healing, you provide help. And so that to me is the biggest benefit of fasting, is to be able to also say no to other things. Because that growing up for me, you know, I said I've been in the nation for only about 6 years and some change. I'm sure like most of us, probably all of us, have an extremely hard life. Yeah, I'll talk about that some other time. I've been through some stuff though, suffice it to say. And it wasn't until I actually completed a fast that I was able to abstain from some of the ways in which I lived that had a negative impact on my life in the past, if you will. So also to understand how and why fasting works, I kind of wanted to go into the science of it. Before I do that, though, does anyone have any questions about what I said about the benefits, or any benefits that they've experienced outside of just being able to abstain from food?
I just wanted to share a quote by the minister where he said, practically every evil, I'm reading it, says, practically every evil comes out of a hunger that we desire to satisfy. And so all of these things that you mentioned are a type of hunger. And so he went on to say, since we cannot discipline that hunger, we exceed the limits. Fasting, therefore, is prescribed. And so, like you said, it's kind of like a medication to heal us, so that we can be a more, productive sisterhood and a more productive brotherhood, and eliminate a lot of the issues that we see in politics today, and eliminate a lot of the things that we tend to complain about when we say, oh, we don't have unity because X, Y, and Z. So this is really something that has a far-reaching effect if we can put it into practice. And so basically that's what I wanted to share. I'm excited to hear you go into the science of fasting, because that's the part I get really excited about and love to talk about. But yeah, I just wanted to offer that small quote.
Anybody else have anything? I want to hear from other people too.
I have a question, but I don't want to throw you off track of where you're about to go.
No, go ahead.
I'm excited to hear about the science too, but I want to ask Brother Daniel and Sister Shaba, since y'all are, veterans at the fasting, like, how was your very first time doing it? How did you go about it? Like, let's say this was your very first time. Did you, like Sister Shaba offered, to do one meal a day instead of no meals? Like, how was your very first time fasting?
You can go first, Sister Shaba.
It's kind of hard for me to say, just because I really don't remember what my first time fasting was, but I can tell you I would say into my teenage years, actually college years, I feel like I really took it for granted, to be honest with you. I did it here and there because it was expected of me, but it wasn't until I moved out of St. Louis, where I'm from. I moved to Chicago. And I was on my own. And so I started going to the mosque out there. And that's when I really started to, you know, you just have to hold yourself accountable when nobody else is there to hold you accountable. And it kind of brings out whatever is really there when you're not in the presence of somebody, you know, making you do something. And so for me, I struggle so hard just because, you know, I just didn't have that discipline built up. I wasn't trained yet to be able to do it successfully for the whole period of time. So I failed a whole lot, to be honest with you. I failed a whole lot. And I'm only just now getting to the point where, and I'm 29 years old, I'm only just now getting to the point where I feel like, okay, I'm starting to really value fasting and really wanting it to be a part of my lifestyle and really kind of falling in love with it, to be honest, just because I see, you know, how many different areas in my life that it impacts. And I always have this idea of like, okay, I want to see what the best version of myself is before I leave this earth. And so I kind of think about that when I'm like, okay, to get there, you got to do this. You got to do X, Y, and Z if you want to see that person become a reality, you know? So that's what I kind of think about. And that, you know, I'm not perfect. I've completed fast and I've also failed some fast after I completed fast. And, you know, I'm trying to build that consistency for myself. So you said you called me a veteran. I don't think I'm a veteran. I think I'm still trying to perfect this thing. And that's why I need this group. So.
Yeah, I concur with that. She's been her whole life. I've been in for 6 years. And so I guess there's two stories there. The first time I attempted a fast, I did horribly. I did the first 24 hours seamlessly. And so there's like, for me at least, there were stages. So not the first one. The first one doesn't apply to. I learned after that there are stages. So the first time, I did the first day fine. I remember it was halfway through the next day. Now I was working at the time too. It's from Thursday to Sunday. And so my schedule was Tuesday to Saturday. So I work in a kitchen at that. I work in a kitchen that makes food for medically tailored food for people who suffer from critical, terminal, and debilitating illnesses. And so every single Friday, the first Friday of the month is like the day where we make like the most extravagant meals, you know, huge taco feasts. And, you know, they make the ribs and beef ribs because it's actually a pork-free facility. And, you know, all of the stuff that people always, you know, can we make this? Can we make that? And we make desserts from scratch. We have a freezer in my job that is dedicated to just cakes and pies. Like, if you like junk food, you can walk in that freezer and not be tempted. So second day, you know, I started experiencing a headache. And I knew immediately what it was. I didn't know what caused it specifically, but I knew it was because I was fasting. And I used that for an excuse to go into the freezer and literally scarf down like 8 cakes. So it was kind of a terrible experience, my first time trying to fast. After that, I learned that, and this goes to asking a brother that's been in for a while named Brother Christopher. He's actually our head of the Ministry of Agriculture here in Boston. And he was explaining to me that and I wrote this, I think, in the chat yesterday, that you go through withdrawals. If you're somebody who eats a lot of sugar, you can't, well, you might not, but you very well can go through withdrawals when you're fasting, especially if you're doing it. And I tried that cold turkey. I wasn't drinking no water. I wasn't drinking no coffee or no tea. And so what happens is sugar is a drug. And you get it from starch, you get it from meat, you get it from fruit, and as well as the added sugar stuff that you eat, your body converts everything that it intakes into sugar. And so what happens is your body will actually start to drain itself of the sugar once you've gone a certain amount of time past the call for food. So if you eat every day at 2 o'clock and at 6 o'clock and at 8 o'clock, your body actually trains itself to call for food at those times. And that's what we call hunger. That's not true hunger, but that's what we call hunger. Now, once the body realizes that it is not receiving what it's calling for, it goes to work pulling from its reserves. Because when you eat in excess of sugar, the body stores it in various places. and you will actually feel the body pulling that from out of other parts of your body, your bones. I felt it in my bones and I felt it in my head. I had a crazy headache and I could literally feel it like in my bones that day. I've never experienced that sensation since then, even when I failed on my fast. This is the first time I ever experienced that and the only time I experienced that, but you can experience those withdrawals. Now, the first successful fast was this. The first day, same thing, I was extremely hungry within 24 hours, and I made it through. I woke up the next day and I was fatigued. I was tired and my body ached. No headache, but like my joints felt, you know, tired. And I struggled through that day. And what I used that time, and I feel helps me the most, is to read How to Eat to Live while I'm fasting. I've tried just the Quran. That didn't work necessarily. It helped, but it didn't work. I've tried listening even to the minister, you know, on and on and on while trying to fast, and that didn't work. But when I read How to Eat to Live, that's when I'm successful. I thought the minister would work, honestly, but that didn't work by itself. How to Eat to Live helped me. But so after the second day, I woke up and I didn't feel any pain, but I was fatigued. You know, this is between the 48 and the 72 hours. I was just fatigued. I couldn't move the same way. I didn't have the drive to do, you know, what I needed to do or what I wanted to do. It was just like, I can't wait till the day's over. And so I went to sleep that night, and that's not something. When I woke up the next day, it's like as soon as my eyes opened, I literally just popped out of bed. There was no pain, there was no fatigue, there was no aches. I wasn't hungry. I literally just felt weightless. And since then, I've like an addict, I've been searching for that feeling again, because I haven't experienced that either. I don't experience the headaches. I don't experience the same level of pain, but I don't get that feeling either. And I guess it's kind of good because I'm always searching for it. I'm always trying to get there. It's like my carrot, if you will, the carrot to the donkey or to the horse. And so that was my experience. But I think it's going to be different for everybody depending on how you do it. Like I said, I do it without water, coffee, or tea. So that's my experience.
Okay, thank you. I do think that was interesting, and I think that was a good tip to read while you're doing it, because I find when I'm trying to eliminate negative things in my life, doing positive things and like overdosing in positive things, like my reading, watching lectures, those things really help me. So that does make a lot of sense to me.
Now we got the group.
What'd you say, sister?
I said, and now we have the group. I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were. Yeah. I was gonna say, when we feel that, now we can go to the group.
Yes, that's true too. I like to having a group too. But my last question for Sister Shaba was, do you fast? Like say if you're like your monthly like time or whatever. Like I don't know if it's like too personal, but like do you still fast?
I personally do. And I actually, even while I was pregnant and breastfeeding, I only ate one meal a day, but I wouldn't do that if that's not already your regular, just how you eat. So for me, it was fine. Everything was totally fine for me. That's like what my homeostasis was. My equilibrium was just one meal a day. So if you're not already doing one meal a day and that's not like your base, I would talk to a doctor about that, because I'm kind of hesitant to even recommend that, because we're actually not supposed to fast during those times. Mm-hmm. But because one meal a day was my lifestyle, I don't consider that fasting. I just consider that just my life. Right. And so I wouldn't do it like on Ramadan. I wouldn't do anything different, because during Ramadan, women, we have that certain point in time where we, stop practicing Ramadan for those couple of days or whatever. But I just would continue all the way through, because the diet should be the same. Ideally, the diet should be the same before, after Ramadan, and after Ramadan, regardless. And so I would say if eating one meal a day is a fast for you, I wouldn't do it during that. But if that is your just normal day-to-day diet, I would continue it, but don't add anything onto it. So I wouldn't do the 3-day fast if you're still breastfeeding and everything right now. unless you're in the process of like weaning, weaning off from that.
Yeah, and so I would add to that. So right after where I read, "Oh, you who believe fasting is prescribed for you, as it was prescribed for those before you, so that you may guard against evil," it continues and it says, "for a certain number of days. But whoever among you is sick or on a journey, he or shall fast a like number of other days. And those who find it extremely hard may effect redemption by feeding a poor man." So you're not sick in that sense, but really, if you can't, if you're on your cycle and you can't observe or don't want to observe, that's perfectly fine. You just do it a like number of other days. So there's always allowances, because it says in the Quran, Allah wishes not difficulty for you. And so there's always a way around that, if you will. So, is anybody else before I go on? Okay, so now when we talk about fasting, the abstinence from the food, right? It's important to understand how the body actually works. Now, I'm not an expert. I have no degree in medicine. I said I've only been doing this for 6 years and not always successfully, but I have done a lot of study and I've done a lot of research, and I've talked to a lot of pioneers in the nation. We have a lot of heavy pioneers here in the city of Boston. As some of you may know, the minister's from Boston, and this is actually one of the smallest mosques, but it's actually one of the biggest mosques in the nation. And so there's a wealth of knowledge here that I pull from. And so this is what I've learned from both study and from guidance from my elders, is that when you look at the human body and its systems and the way it works, and you realize that there are 3 systems that are always active. You have your circulatory system, or your cardiovascular system. Your heart, it pumps blood throughout the body. That's something that you cannot control. It's always going to pump blood. It's not like breathing, where breathing is one of those systems as well, but you can hold your breath for a certain amount of time. But even in that, you put a certain strain on the heart, so it picks up where the lungs left off, if you will. It makes it work harder. And then there is the electromagnetic energy that flows through your body. You cannot stop that. Those 3 things are always working at all times. The 4th would be, because of the way in which we have trained ourselves in the Western world, and those who have gone after the Western world, is the digestive system. Why do I say that? It's because we eat typically 3 meals a day. Now, we know or should know that it takes at least 6 to 8 hours to digest the easiest meals, and up to 12 hours to digest the heaviest of meals. Which means if you eat 3 meals a day, there's literally not one point in your life, and if you eat 3 meals a day for your whole life, there's literally not one point in your life that your body is not digesting food. Which means it is constantly exerting a certain amount of energy to undergo that process. Now, the reality is, if you were to fast for even, let's say 16 hours, if you had a heavy meal, let's say 12 hours, but let's say you give it 16, and your body digests that meal fully, then your digestive system will actually shut down. And so what I want you to envision is a chart with 4 categories, right? Your body is working, let's say you're at 100% energy, and you have to allocate 10% energy to the brain functioning, which you cannot control. It works while you're sleeping. You have to allocate 10% to your cardiovascular system and the heart pumping blood throughout your body. You have to allocate 10% to your respiratory function, and you can't stop that. You automatically have to subtract 30% energy from that which your body has to do other functions, or to supply to other functions, right? Now, when some of you might not know, is that when your body is in digestion, it actually uses more energy than thinking. It uses more energy than pumping blood through your body, and it takes more energy than the respiratory system takes as well. So I would say when you're eating, you would have to allocate a minimum of 15% energy. That knocks you down to, okay, so you have 70 with the other three, and you have to go down to a 55. That did it right? Yeah, so 55. Now, at 55%, nothing is running efficiently. Nothing is running the way that it should. Nothing is running optimally if you're only using 55% of your energy. Now, what happens when you do fast, what the body does is it redistributes the energy that it would use to digest food back into the other functions. And this is where you experience some of the clarity of mind. This is where you experience some of the boost in energy. This is where you experience the body's ability to heal itself faster. Even the other three functions, they receive a little bit more of that energy back because the body has stopped. So what happens when you're digesting food is your temperature actually raises. It tells you when you first put something in your mouth, the first thing that happens is that your taste buds send a signal to your brain to begin preparing enzymes in your stomach to digest the different foods that it's coming to it. This is why you have sour, this is why you have sweet, and this is why you have bitter. Your body, your stomach produces X amount of enzymes designed to break down different proteins and sugars based off of what it knows is coming to it. And the tongue is the first indicator. That's why when something touches your tongue, you begin to salivate. It releases the first enzymes and fluids to break down the food that you intake. So from there, the body temperature rises because the brain is a factory. Dr. Wesley goes into this very heavily, that, you know, we are not just electromagnetic beings, but we're actual biochemists. Our brains are biochemists by nature. And when your tongue sends that signal, the brain actually starts to produce these enzymes, or tells us, and it produces some itself, and then it also tells the stomach to produce some. And so your body temperature raises, and heat is caused by the friction in the stomach, in the digestive tract, that cause the different, you saying something, Sister? Oh, she must talk to her child. So I forget the name, but there's little like tissue-like things that help the body move through your body, help the food move through your body, and those cause friction, which raises the temperature of the body. And also that digestive tract is the largest system in your body. So it's easy to see why it would use more energy. And because it takes so long to digest food, and we eat stuff like potato, meats, breads and stuff that take a long time to digest, and a fact we should be aware of is that the body only produces 1 pint of fluid, digestive fluid, a day. And if you look at what's on most people's plates, your body never produces enough digestive fluids to actually break down what it is we eat. And this is where we get the storing of the fats and the storing of the excess waste along our digestive tract. And that in itself takes a certain amount of energy. The body has to take away from other resources in order to deal with that problem. So outside of dealing with the 10, the 10, the 10, and the 15, we have to realize when we talk about the itis, what's happening there is that when you overexert the stomach, and now once you start the digestive process, you can't stop that. You can't hold your breath. You can't do like holding your breath. It must continue. And so what happens is, in order for the body to complete that process, and if we eat 3 meals a day, it's always trying to complete that process, it has to pull energy from other functions. And so it's already allocated 10% to the brain, to the heart, and to the mind, into the lungs. So it literally pulls from some more from the brain, some more from the lungs, some more from the heart. And that's where you experience the tiredness. That's where we get that itis from. It's your body is taking energy away from you in order to do what it shouldn't have to, which is process all that excess food for an extended period of time. And so when you do finally allow your stomach rest and it reallocates that energy, this is where like I said, the clarity, this is where the energy comes from. Your body finally gets the chance to see what it's like to operate at its optimum level. I hope I don't sound like all over the place. I've never actually like taught this to anybody. I've always kind of like went and gathered the information for myself. I've explained it to a few people, but I've never actually taught it. So if I say anything, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me if you need clarity on something. So
I just wanted to add in a quote really quick from How to Eat to Live, and where did I put it? I'm sorry, I hope I didn't lose it. I saved it. So it was two thoughts that I had, and they say, you're doing great, which you are. And so for me, it just kind of makes me think about our bodies are not able to heal because they're just too preoccupied doing so many other things. And so once we remove those things, our body are then able to concentrate or focus on healing. And it just reminds me of, like, if anybody has experience with babies heal so quickly from like little scratches and bruises and stuff, because their body is still in a purified or close to purified state, versus us. It takes so long for a little scratch to heal, or, you know, our injuries or whatever. And we know that the older we get, the more dangerous injuries are to the body. And so I feel like this is a perfect way to rejuvenate our body's ability to heal itself and restore our youth. It's kind of like the fountain of youth. But I wanted to just share this quote, and I didn't want to interrupt you if you were still finishing a thought on that.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so there's a quote in How to Eat to Live, Volume 1, and it said, and he wrote, eating 3 or 4 times a day is to your stomach as dripping water is to a stone or iron. The dripping water will eventually wear a stone and iron away, but just to look at the water, it does not appear powerful enough in its dripping to wear the stone and the iron away. It is the same with food. We continuously put it into our stomachs to be digested. Eventually, it will destroy the stomach. If we let our stomachs rest a while and gain strength, they will last longer in doing a job of digesting food for us. Eat 1 meal a day and eat the food that will not harm you so quickly.
Right, and exact. Yeah, I remember reading that too, and like, you know, that makes perfect sense, because we're taught to eat 3 meals a day, and even now, I would never say to do this, but even for a person who eats 3 meals a day, if you were to not overeat, if you were to take into account the fact that your body only produces a certain amount of digestive fluids, and that some foods take longer to digest than others. Say you did do intermittent fasting and you ate 3 meals a day, but it was fruit, it was vegetables, something that is not hard, like collard greens or turnip greens and stuff that is still heavy on the stomach. It's hard for the stomach to digest and break down. Corn. If you did eat good food 3 meals a day, your body could handle it a lot better than it does the way we eat. But it's a combination of eating 3 meals a day, and then also what we eat: potatoes, breads, meats, and I'm guilty. You know, I go to a restaurant. You know, I don't put no little plate in front of me with no little itty bitty cut of beef and all. And I'm pescatarian. I'm saying that, but I'm pescatarian. I've been pescatarian for like 3 years now. But don't give me a plate with no little bitty portion on it. I want something, you know, hefty. And so, but when we eat like that, we don't realize the amount of strain that it's actually putting on our stomachs, because we've conditioned our stomachs to accept it. Now, when you talk about the hunger pains, sometimes that's what we're feeling. We're feeling the body craving for the sugar. We're feeling our body sometimes really healing itself. Because remember, when you think about the healing process, there's a lot of pain associated with it. And so, for instance, when you get a fever and you experience that heat and you experience that pain, that's actually the body healing. And when you experience those grumbling feelings, you're really sometimes feeling your stomach recontracting, because we stretch our stomachs out, and so that they can accommodate an excess of food. So sometimes when you feel that, you're not feeling hunger, you're actually feeling the body attempting to repair itself. And that, with the cravings, makes you believe, because it's psychosomatic, makes you believe that, oh, what my body is doing is asking for more food. And this is something that the FDA and those in authority know, which is why they listed sugar as a drug. They equated it to cocaine, you know, and they won't tell us that because they put it in everything. But the reality is drugs do cause a dependency. They do, well, they cause a dependency. They have a an effect on our brain. Some of us may know it produces, what is it? Not serotonin. Somebody help me out.
Dopamine.
Dopamines. It produces dopamines in the brain, you know, and it gives you that good feeling. And when it's not there no more, like a baby that you give a lollipop for the first time, and you take it away, it calls for that. And so we mistake that for hunger, and then we give our bodies more and more, and we keep wearing away and wearing away. And another important part, and I actually wasn't going to this, it just came to me to add this on, is the sleeping is huge. It's huge. And I believe that that's why the messenger said that we should eat between 4 and 6, because you have to give the body enough time to initially work the digestive system so that it can sleep properly. Because another thing is, if your body is attempting to digest something heavy or something that is strenuous on itself, it actually hinders your ability to get quality sleep. Because like I said, again, the body temperature actually rises. And the digestive tract is a lot more widespread in your body, which means there's too much going on. The brain has to focus a certain amount of energy on solving that issue you gave it, and cannot put itself completely at rest. Now you'll get some, but it won't be the same quality. And so in order to be able to now while you're fasting, it's important to get adequate sleep, but understand that you can't get adequate sleep if you're not eating right. So it's kind of like a catch-22. You know, you have to have the right sleeping habits in order for fasting to really work, if you follow what I'm trying to say. And when you're not fasting and you're attempting to go to one meal a day, one meal every other day, it's important to take into consideration your sleeping habits, your sleeping schedule. That will help you out tremendously. And kind of going back to what Sister Taylor was saying, she was saying, she was talking about how she said something about the reading part. Another good tool, or another good thing to do that helps you through a fast, I find, is to work. Me personally, I don't think about, except that I'm in the kitchen, but I do a lot other than that. I work every day, all day. My wife's sitting here right next to me. She'll tell you, I'm always working. So, but I don't think about eating. You know, I come home and she, you hungry? I'm not thinking about food right now. I go hop on my computer, especially since I've been in the tribe. I'm on this thing 24/7. And
fasting will make you so productive.
Yeah. Well, but so that's it. I was gonna say that's another tip for Sister Taylor is stay busy. You know, while you're fasting, spend your time working on maybe doing those live posts, reworking your website, or sliding people's DMs, working on your hashtags, whatever it is that you need to do. But work, and before you know it, it's time to go to sleep. And between your computer or between that workstation and the bed, just don't look in the kitchen. Just stay away from the kitchen. And I think that will help a lot of us as well. Stay busy, and read, and that will help as well. So any questions about any of the more sciencey stuff I went into about the body and how it works that anybody wants clarity on?
So I've been just trying to prep my body just by drinking a lot of water. And like I hadn't been eating really, really heavy. So what? How much water should I be drinking? To get ready for this, because I know like the headaches and stuff. For me eating the once a meal, I already have headaches. I've already, but I'm always working because I'm like AVS. I'm in the group, so I'm working 24/7. So it really don't bother me as much because I have something to do. But as far as water intake and all that, what do I need? How much water do I need to be drinking prior to this? Because I know we got like a little time before my birthday comes, and then we pop it off.
Yeah. So 2 questions. One, do you eat a lot of sugar?
No,
Foods or starchy foods?
not I like potato chips and French fries, but other than that,
Yes.
not too much.
All right. So, and the other thing is, how many hours of sleep do you get on a regular basis now versus in the past before you might have started working a little bit harder with this ABS thing?
I don't sleep. I don't really sleep a lot. I sleep maybe like 4 or 5 hours, and I'll be up again.
Oh, so you sleep, man. Listen, babe, how many hours I sleep?
2.
I'll probably get 2 or 3 hours sleep a night, but that's because I've trained myself. So I asked that because you said something about the headaches. Now, the other thing besides sugar is going to be the sleep. If you don't get sufficient sleep for you, because your constitution is different than mine. Some people can do 2 or 3 hours of sleep. Some people need 8 hours of sleep. So I would say the headaches might have something more to do with your sleeping. You might need to get more sleep and better sleep for the headaches part. But the water part, I would say, it's not necessarily how much you drink. It's more about understanding what hydration is. So you have to make sure that your body's actually absorbing the water that you need. Now, some of the science behind that is this: the water that most of us drink, bottled and/or tap water, the molecules in the water, because we're talking about stagnant water most of the time. Even the stuff coming through your pipes, a lot of that is not just stagnant; it's also accompanied by a lot of sediment, and it makes the water actually heavy. And so what happens is the body is not able to actually absorb the water. You drink it and your body will release it. It will absorb some, but a lot of it is expelled through urination. Now, to solve that, you can, there's a term called kegging water, if you will. I don't know if they have it where you're at, but where I'm at, they have places where they make what's called kegging water, and they'll actually send
alkaline water,
not alkaline necessarily, yes, but no. So they'll send the water over a gold plate and electrify the water as well, and it will actually shrink the molecules of the water. They call this kegging water. There's another term for it as well, and it makes it easier for the body to absorb, but it also does alkalinize the water. Now, the other thing that you can do is to, in the morning time, take some sea salt, preferably the Celtics brand, if you will, and you put like a teaspoon of that in a bottle of warm water, and you shake that up and you drink that. And then follow it out with another bottle of water. The sodium actually helps the water to absorb into the body, so that you're actually hydrated. Otherwise, you'll just be drinking a whole bunch of water and it won't be doing anything for you. It won't be doing anything, but you won't get the same benefit. You won't get the full benefit of it. But once you drink that bottle of alkaline water with a teaspoon of sea salt or Celtic salt in it, your body would actually be able to absorb the water better. And so I would say, I've heard that you should drink at least 8 cups of water. I don't know the truth to that. I think if you just drink maybe 4 cups a day and you start off with that 1 cup of treated water, if you will, you should be fine. But you just have to learn your own body.
I was like with the salt, I was doing the pink Himalayan salt because I got a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. That's the little salt with the little white woman with the umbrella on it.
Yeah, so that's just the brand I recommend because I know.
No, I'm sorry, brother. The one with the umbrella, that's iodized salt. You don't want
That's Morton's. That's
you're right.
Morton's.
You don't.
That's Morton's. The Celtic one. Oh, I'm gonna go grab the bag.
Okay. Because I didn't want to take the wrong. I'll stick to the peak Himalayan salt. Then.
Yeah, I'm gonna link it in the group. It's called Celtic, and it's a gray sea salt, and so that also has a lot of minerals in the water. So if you drink that water, a lot of the water we drink is not mineralized anymore. So that also has hundreds of minerals that'll remineralize your water as well.
Yeah, so that's the thing. You see, this one is actually a pink salt as well. They have the gray one. They have different kinds of it. But so that she's right. It's not the one you're talking about, brother. That's Morton's.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I would say do that, and then you have to kind of work with yourself to know how much water to drink, because the other factors are your workload. You know, if you're somebody who sweats profusely, then you have to replenish that water. That your body is, well, it's not just water, it's actually a lot of salt coming out of your body as well. It's not just the water, but you have to replace that nonetheless. And so,
I drink a lot of water because I sweat really bad, so I drink a lot of water.
Yeah. So just keep doing that. Keep doing that. Add the tablespoon of sea salt. She's right. It replaces the minerals, the ones that you do need, into your system.
I would also say, I would also say add some fruits, especially like just something simple like lemon to your water, or you can add cucumber to your water. And if you let that sit in the water, and I forget what the time period is, but that'll also alkalize your water for you as well.
Exactly. Yeah, let it infuse. I don't know. That's a good question. I've never seen a time given for that.
Yeah, I didn't used to think there was, but then I forgot. I'll find the research and I'll share it in the group so that we all have that. But I think it was maybe like 30 minutes or 20 minutes or something like that. It wasn't really a long period of time.
Right.
Yeah, it's to where the like the cucumber and stuff, it gets fully saturated and it's like gooey.
Watch your fingers.
Right. Now, so the messenger also, he mentions in How to Eat to Live that, you know, once you do get to the point where you can eat, when you are eating 1 meal a day, 1 meal every other day, that and if you are hydrating properly, you'll find that you won't necessarily actually even crave for water between meals, except, of course, again, that you're exerting a certain amount of energy or type of energy, then, of course, you'll feel that. But for those who work, who are not as active, you know, they won't even experience the same level of thirst, and your body would just know you're all right until it is time to eat again. You just condition yourself. Anybody else?
Yeah, you guys, I'm happy you brought up the Celtic sea salt thing. I just have a quick question about that. Is that just a once a day type of thing, or how often should you be doing that?
I use it daily.
Yeah. What you're saying is it once a day though?
Oh yeah, I personally use it once a day. I know Dr. Akili Muhammad, he has a whole video talking about that, and I think he does that every time he drinks water. But I'll take like a little generous pinch, and I have a big water bottle that I drink every single morning, and I do it once a day, just right in that bottle of water.
Yeah, same. I do it just once a day. And the first bottle of water I drink in the day is when I typically do it.
Okay, that's good to know too. I noticed that salt is probably the most expensive salt that I've ever seen too. So
yeah, well, that's why. That's probably one of the reasons why, other than the capitalistic.
Where do y'all get that salt from?
I got mine from Stop and Shop.
I get mine from Amazon.
Amazon, okay.
Yeah, but I'm sure you can get it from like Whole Foods or any type of like health food stores or something.
Yeah.
But something I meant to mention back when you were still talking about digestion, I remember the minister saying this, and I was trying to find a quote, but I couldn't find it. But I remember him saying, sometimes when you wake up and you feel like you're hungry, and you feel like you're getting hunger pains, it's not really hunger pains, it's your stomach digesting. whatever it is you ate before you went to sleep. So,
That's true.
you know, Brother Daniel said you want to give your body time to digest before you rest, and that'll give you more sound sleep as well. So sometimes we'll eat, and then too shortly after we go to sleep, and your body stops digesting. Then when you wake up, it starts back up again. And that discomfort that you feel, we think it's hunger, but it's really just our body digesting what was left over from the night before.
So it doesn't, so when you go to sleep, it doesn't stop. It does, it makes it easier, because when you go to sleep, the heart rate slows, your brain function slows, and your lungs slow down as well. And so the body, so what's supposed to happen is this: when you go to sleep, that's when your body's supposed to go into healing mode. That's what's supposed to happen. Now, if we were eating the way we're supposed to eat, say we only ate once every 3 days, this is a perfect world, right? You go to sleep in the middle of one of those fasts, and that 30% becomes 15%. And while you're sleeping, whatever the different things you did throughout these 3 days that you're fasting, you cut your arm, whatever, that's when the body would heal itself. You know, it restores itself. Now, what happens is, because we're not in that reality, when you do go to sleep, the body still goes to 15% from the 30 that it would take from the breathing, the heart, and the brain, but it doesn't go into healing, it goes into digestion, because it's digesting something. Now, so it's easier for it to digest during your sleep, because you're sleeping and there's a lot more energy there available. So it's not as strenuous while you're sleeping, but she's right. When you wake up, you're still feeling the body digesting food. So it doesn't stop, it's just not as intense while you're sleeping. Yeah. And yeah, so there's that. Now, as far as the healing process is concerned and repairing of the body, we have to realize that we are always getting older, right? And everything that your body does, it's trained to do. And this is one of the reasons why we're taught that you can't fathom what it's going to be like in the hereafter. You know, no man knows the day, the hour, it hasn't entered into the minds or the imaginations of men, because we've never actually felt what it's like to be at 100% energy, what it feels like to be completely free of toxins, if you will. And so we have to try our best to eliminate as much external or extra poisoning of ourselves, if you will. I don't really know how to word that. So the air is already polluted. The water is already polluted. We can't escape it. The messenger tells us that the best food in hell is poison, meaning you can go to Whole Foods and buy an apple, and because of the seeds that it was grown from, it's contaminated. The wax that are on the apples is contaminated. There's so many other reasons why something could be organic, but it's still poisonous to you, right? So I still have to say that, knowing that you're already dealing with that, try your best not to add onto it. Don't over-season your foods. You know, hopefully this is no way, but try to stay away from tobacco. Because the messenger mentions a lot on how you to live. He always, when he talks about fasting, he says, also stay away from tobacco, wine, and whiskey, and pork. He throws that in there like a million times. Because the same thing with the spiritual part. You can fast all you want to, but if you, and even with chemicals like cosmetic products, all of that stuff is having an effect on your digestive system. Your digestive system isn't just the food you eat. Anytime something is brought into the body and the body has to break it down, it's digesting. It's just not necessarily using the stomach to do so. And I think we all should know that your immunity is not just in your blood. Most of your immunity is actually in your GI tract. And so, once again, if you are not allowing your body to operate optimally, then you can't heal. You're never going to heal. I don't care how much you fast. It's just not going to happen. There's so many other things we have to do in order to really feel as best we can. So again, abstinence isn't just from food. It has to be from whiskey, wine, tobacco. It has to be from unnecessary seasonings. It has to be from the junk food. It has to be from negative music, because that's something we haven't even touched on. You know, during the Unity Fast, we just like Ramadan, we try to abstain from watching TV, watching Netflix, listening to music that is vulgar, arguing, fighting, looking at, or even walking down the street. For us guys, you know, you see a beautiful woman walk by, you know, lower your gaze, turn, because even that in itself has a certain effect on the body, and will drain you mentally. It will drain you emotionally, if you will. So keep that kind of stuff into consideration as well. If anybody has questions about that, or has an opinion about that, or thoughts about that, we should maybe even discuss that. If y'all willing, I have all night.
And I would even say, because those are great points that you brought up, but I don't want anybody hearing this information to become overwhelmed or discouraged by thinking, oh, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to try to do all these things, and this is my first time fasting. I would say just take it a step at a time. And I mentioned in the group, I'm not sure if everybody saw it, but I think it would be a good idea to actually write down what our goal is for this 3-day fast.
Right, I've never done that.
Yeah, and maybe choose, like, you can choose one goal that you want to have if you're just beginning, or you can choose 3 goals if you want to keep it to that, that you want to strive to do on the 3-day fast. So just don't try to take on everything at one time. You want to allow yourself to have those little successes and those little wins, so that you build your confidence, and you'll be encouraged to continue to do it. So don't try to climb the whole mountain on the first trip, you know. So these are definitely things that is good to know, and it's good to keep in your mind, so you know what to strive for as you're on this journey. But, you know, just try to keep it to where you're at a place where, I don't want to say where you're comfortable, but where you're able to challenge yourself without overwhelming yourself.
Right. Thank you for saying that, because I get carried away sometimes. Because I challenge the hell out of myself. And as a matter of fact, where's it at? The messenger said, do you want to say something while I'm finding this? Okay. Is it page 59?
I want to add on to what Brother Dean was saying about what other things you could eliminate. And I like Brother Nuri's quote, energy goes, or energy.
Your mic is, or your video is choppy. Oh, I think that might be me. Sister Shayla is frozen as well.
Listening to those things, because like you said, it just really taints your brain. Like, and I don't watch the police shootings anymore, those type of videos. Like, I don't even really want to engage in those type of conversations with people when we're just talking about it. If it's not solution-based conversations, I really don't even want to talk about those things anymore. So that is a really good thing that's another good thing to fast from as well.
That's such a great point, because you said you were breastfeeding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
I am.
Yeah, that's such a great point, because when I was pregnant, literally, and we taught this in the nation, that pregnant women, there's certain things you don't watch, there's certain things you don't listen to. You're basically like in this this I don't want to use the word isolation, but you're kind of like in this protected space while you're, you know, growing this life. And so when I was pregnant, I didn't watch, you know, horror movies or anything traumatic or dramatic, you know, anything like that. And even while I was breastfeeding, I stayed away from that. And that kind of has lasted me even until now. Our son is 3 years old. And I definitely, I'm not blinding myself to what's going on, but I definitely take it in doses, like you said, and I definitely try to be solution based and just not over consume that kind of stuff, because whether you're pregnant or breastfeeding or not, that stuff definitely takes a toll on us subconsciously. And that just the fact that, you know, we're seeing injustice, it expands our energy, just seeing that and just thinking about it. And even, you know, dealing with some of the idiots, you know, that we see in comments when they, you know, are talking about things, or we see even people on television speaking about certain things, and you start to have an argument with them in your head, that expands energy and that causes stress. So it's definitely good to just limit some of that stuff that we're consuming and how frequently we're consuming it.
Yeah, that's very true. And I didn't even think about that. Like you said, while you're pregnant, all of your feelings and emotions and stuff are going to that baby and while breastfeeding. So I didn't even think that deeper into it, because right now I'm learning about how, you know, traumatic birthing experiences could actually affect your baby's life. So that makes a lot of sense when you put it that way. You should definitely keep it positive when growing you're responsible for another human being, you know.
Yeah, that's some discipline right there, because there was times my husband was getting on my nerves and he'll tell you. And I was like, you know what? I ain't even gonna go there because I got this baby.
Yeah, don't even engage.
But that'll discipline you right there, yep.
Yeah. So I found the quote I was looking for. I actually had it written down. I didn't find the book, I had it written down. Fast once a month for 3 days, 4 days, or for whatever length of time you are able to go without food, without harming yourself, and you will feel good. I just want to read that part because the messenger does make it clear. You have to do what you can do without harming yourself. I'm an extreme person, so I like, my wife is like, she knows. So, but no. So yeah, take it at your own pace. I like to say all these things because I just like to be aware, if you will. But definitely do what you can do. And I think it might be good too to see who might be where you're at and make that. Now the group is your accountability group too, but have someone who might be experiencing it on the same level as you to bounce your ideas, your feelings off of as well. Because I might be the wrong person to talk to. So I go, yeah, you might need to just do that. So yeah. I get carried away.
Hey, Brother Daniel, I'm the same way. All my friends think I'm very extreme. Like, I'm an all or nothing type of person.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you, are you a Scorpio or no? Is that just me?
Virgo.
Oh, okay.
My birthday is actually
too.
I just turned 32 today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm a Virgo too.
Thank you. When's your birthday, brother Jason?
Next Thursday, September the 4th.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I'm extreme too. I just think that's a.
Yeah, you know, my wife's a Virgo too. She's September 15th. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a Gemini and I can still relate.
We just see the other side.
But no, I was gonna say we desire mastery. That's what it is.
That's right. Yeah, all of those symbols belong to us. You know, we're alive through each of those cycles. So it is what it is. You just have to know. It always goes back to. So that's something I'll say too. You know, the whole journey of life is mastery of self, right? And so I like to always remind myself of what the word now. So take it back, right? And this is off topic, but it's not. When we look at religion and the way the world has gone, there are all these titles, there are all these descriptions, there are all these ideas and opinions, and we get away from what the messenger told us. Never go past a misunderstood word. And so when I always remind myself of the name or title or word Allah. And Allah is not necessarily the name of the Supreme Being, the personal name, but it is the title given to the Supreme Being, which means that person has or is in mastery of all of the attributes of God simultaneously at all times, willfully, if you follow what I'm saying. So in order to be Allah, you have to have complete control of all of yourself at all times willfully. And so we are all God's children of the Most High God. While we cannot reach that level and never wear the name Allah, we are all capable of mastering more than one attribute. And so I always tell people, you have at least one, but more than likely two of God's attributes. And you have the ability to seek and to find that within yourself. And fasting helps you to do that. And so I would say, as you're on this journey, remember that mastery of self is the goal. And I'm going to this because of we talk about the whole zodiac thing. That's why it came to mind. And so as you're going through your life, realize that when you see something in someone else that is attractive to you, it's likely something that is within you that you haven't necessarily mastered. Ooh, I like the way that looks. You know, you're attracted to it for a reason, and you have the ability to master that. So I never like to get caught up in the whole into the whole zodiac thing, or the whole signs, if you will, because I feel like I'm a Virgo, I'm a Gemini at times I'm a Cancer, I'm a Scorpio, and all of that. Like I said, it's a little off topic, but it's not, because in my mind, fasting helps you to align yourself with more of the attributes that God put in you that you may not have taken advantage of as of yet, if that makes any sense. Anybody got anything? Brother Slate, Sister Kit Kat, y'all got any input? Any questions? Any opinions?
No, sir. I didn't have any questions. One of my opinions, though, is I definitely appreciate the knowledge, the breakdown, the examples given from the digestive system and how it works, the sleeping.
Go ahead.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, from sleeping and all that, man. So I look forward to it. And I was inspired and blessed from tonight's Zoom call and what y'all are discussing. So I definitely appreciate it, man.
Praise be to God. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. So
I just wanted to say thank you for breaking down the science of it, because I kind of correlated to why I really couldn't continue fasting for a while. I've actually tried for the last month to do a fast of any sort and was not successful up until last week, running into, or actually this week. And I think because my mind was set on a physical change, that I couldn't complete it. I kind of gave in. My discipline was not there at all. But then when I switched it to like thinking, like trying to get to my critical thinking or get back to a healthy pattern of thinking, my discipline kind of grew more. So all the information that you and Shaba gave to us is very valuable, and I appreciate you.
yeah, I've had that experience too. I think we all have that, and are going to continue to have that to some degree, because we have indoctrinated ourselves, as they say, to seek instant gratification. So, I mean, that's real. That's real. I can, now that you say, because I never thought about it in that way specifically. That's probably why I failed a few times. I wasn't satisfied. It didn't, I was kind of wanting to. I hear all the stories about the believers in the past and how, there was more. There were more people involved in it, if you will, more people doing it successfully, and it's the way the stories might be told. I guess that I just had this grandiose idea that I was just gonna not eat for 3 days on the first try, or I'm gonna get it right away, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna feel great all the time. I'm gonna instantly look like I'm 10 years younger or something like that. But it wasn't that. It was hard, and it's like, damn, if it was so easy for them, why isn't it easy for me? Maybe it's not meant for me. Maybe because of my workload, I can't do it. So maybe I shouldn't even be trying to do it yet until I get out of this job. Stupid stuff like that. So yeah, those obstacles are there, the ones we put in front of ourselves. So it is what it is. You'll figure you out, and then as you start to implement the change of mindset about fasting, you will start to see the physical results following your ability to actually complete the fast, if that makes sense. So, peace, brother Michael. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the group or to the Zoom.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother. Peace, fam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you see, we're about 2 hours 15 minutes in. I don't know if that's how long I've been recording or not.
I did not know you were on here for 2 hours.
So I actually signed in like 20 minutes before because I'm saying I was getting all my notes and stuff together and I didn't want to look up, oh shoot, it's 5 minutes past and not be on. So I signed on early. So I don't know if that number reflects that, but at least 2 hours. So we just basically started off like we start all our meetings or classes with a little testimony about the benefits or the struggles when it comes to fasting. If we fasted in the past, if we haven't fasted in the past, something that might have made it or causes apprehension or whatever, something to keep us from fasting, whatever. And then I went into the definitions of fasting or fast, pulled from the scriptures, Holy Quran and Bible, and we just kind of and I broke down some of the science of digestion and fasting, and we just been building. So you have the 2X of your name, so I imagine you have a degree of knowledge of fasting and maybe some experience. Do you want to try to jump in with something?
Assalamu alaikum, family.
Wa alaikum salam.
I don't know about a degree of knowledge, but but you know, I am registered. I am in the nation, but yeah, I've done the fast many times, and I've failed at the fast many times too. So, you know, sometimes you feel real good, you're strong, and it's mindset, man. You got to really set your mind and get prepared for it. You know, you can't have no doubt and be, you know, kind of, I think I'm gonna do it or whatever. You got to set your mind. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan said, "There's nothing more powerful than a made-up mind." So, you know, that goes with everything. You know, for what we in, the tribe, just anything. But if we're gonna do the fast, we got to really make up our mind. Because I noticed like the times when I'm not sure I'm gonna do it. You know, I'm acting like I say I'm gonna do it, but I'm kind of, weak right there. You know, I'm like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Or last minute, I say I'm gonna do it. I usually don't make it through the second day, but you know, if you can get through that first and second day, you good. But yeah, that's it. But I've completed many times. You know, I've been registered 14 years. So when it's in my early 20s. So I've done the fast many times. I've completed, but like I said, it's anybody can do it. All of us can do it. You know, I don't want to make it seem like it's not doable. It's easy and it feels good, and it's spiritual, mental, physical. It's everything, and it's really a blessing. So I'm glad that y'all brought this up in this group. You know, giving everybody an opportunity to know the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is, you know, I don't know if everybody has How to Eat to Live. If y'all mentioned that book, you know, book 1 and 2, I'm sure you probably did. But that'll be a good book for everybody. Yeah. That, Sister Shaba held it up. That's a man. Brother got it. Yeah, that's a mandatory book you can get from finalcall.com, store.finalcall.com. And it'll help you a lot on the foods that we eat and what not to eat. But, you know, I just wanted to say a few words. You know, you can do it. You got to set your mind. We got to get prepared. I think it's the upcoming week, right? We eat Thursday. The last day is Thursday. The night is our last meal, and then we don't eat again until Sunday. Correct?
Right.
Sunday. Yeah, Sunday evening. So, I think it's water. You can drink coffee, and I think we can do tea, but don't put too much, light sugar. Don't make the sugar a meal, and don't make your honey a meal. Keep it real light. But you can drink liquids, but no food. That Thursday night, it's a wrap. Go ahead and eat your last meal, eat real good, and then we go across the hot sand. So that's all I got. I appreciate you calling my name and let me say a few words, and I hope we all make it across. I think we will. We'll be strong on the other side. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, you pretty much cooperated with me and Sister Shavy was saying, you successful a lot of times, and then a lot of times you fail. Yeah. But so the way the messenger says it, he says, he said, so don't go and fill your cup up half with half with cream and half with sugar, and then pour coffee on top of that.
Right.
I think he writes in the book, he says smile after he writes smile after that. It's just like he was just joking with us and stuff. So now that's real. So yeah, it's basically you put enough coffee. So I'm saying it, putting coffee on your cream. You put enough cream or sugar in your coffee or tea to palate it. That's the way I always say it, so that you can actually palate it. Personally, but to each his own, whatever it is. And it's not, because you said that, but then you said drink liquid, so it's not. So I don't know if people confused. No, we can't drink soda, or we shouldn't drink soda.
Yeah.
I can say can't
Good
do whatever you want to do.
Good correction, yeah.
Those like apple juice and nothing like that. It's coffee, tea, and water. So.
And I just wanted to add really quickly, and I apologize if you touched on this because for a minute I was dealing with my son, but when we fast, it actually, it depends on how long we fast for. So there's things that happen to the body at 24-hour fast, there's things that happen at 48-hour fast, and there's things that happen at a 72-hour fast. And so once we get to that 72, our body actually totally, am I saying that correctly? What's 3 days? How many hours is 3 days?
72.
Oh, 72. Okay. So once we get to that 72 point, our immune system actually totally regenerates, and our bodies develop new white blood cells. And so that process actually is the same as, and my mother actually, she just went into remission this past year from having cancer. And so she had to go through a treatment called, it was a stem cell transplant, bone marrow transplant. And so the reason that they get the bone marrow transplant is to basically restart or regenerate a new immune system. And so that once they get that transplant, it's to develop new white blood cells to replace the infected ones. Basically, that's in a nutshell. And so, but that process, when you fast 72 hours, that regenerates your immune system. And essentially, it kind of does that same process. And so the messenger said that fasting is actually a prescription. It's prescribed, and it will save us from a lot of the illnesses and sicknesses that we have. And I think he said if we eat 24 hours, if we eat one meal a day, that we would only get sick. I can't remember how many he said, but he told us how many times we would get sick if we ate 24 hours a day, if we ate 3 days a week, or whatever it was. He told us how often we could expect to get sick. And I think he said if we ate every 3 days, that we would only get sick once every couple of years or something like that, he said. But that's just to say scientists today are now starting to discover really what is the function of fasting and the effects that it has on the human body. So, what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us is it's not ahead of its time. It was right on time, but for the scientists of this world, it was ahead of its time, because they're only now just starting to figure out the amazing benefits that it has for our bodies. And actually in other countries, in Asia and Europe, they have fasting centers. And so people who have chronic illnesses will go to these centers, and the doctors will prescribe them a certain number of days of fasting to heal them from whatever those chronic illnesses are. So everything that they write us medications for here, they have a number, there's a fast for that. And so I don't want to tell anybody specifically to do this for whatever illnesses they have, because you want to make sure you know what you're doing and you're working with a professional or whatever, in terms of, you know, somebody having something as serious as cancer, for example. But I do want us to just kind of have this in our mind that everything that we need to heal ourselves it's available to us, and it doesn't cost, you know, all this money that they're trying to charge us for medications that give us, you know, a bunch of side effects, which you don't know if that's worse or better, you know. So just wanted to share that as well.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So I didn't, before we even started, I told myself to mention that, but I didn't mention the part that you were talking about, that the immune system actually
I know you got some good
itself.
info on it.
Yeah, because so she's right. The immune system actually reboots itself, and this is the same reason. Once you've abstained for a certain amount of time, for that long without food, and now the body's been able to reallocate that energy for almost 72 hours. Once it's done healing certain parts of the body, and also through that time, another important thing to that brings to mind to pay attention to is your bowel movements. Now, you should still experience bowel movements. Now, if you don't, there are certain things you might have to do in order to make that happen, because really you're supposed to still use the bathroom during the 3-day fast. And I don't know, maybe some people have other experiences or knowledge on that, but this is what I've learned and what I've experienced. And so, but there are those who don't, and then they'll find themselves actually getting headaches as well, or experiencing other side effects of the fast, if you will. But fast forward, after the body has eliminated the excess waste and has healed what it needs to heal, it will actually tell the immune system to reboot itself. And like we mentioned earlier, I think Sishay put in the chat, is 60% of the immunity is in your digestive system. So once your digestive system has been allowed to reset itself, your immune system actually reboots itself as well. So yeah, that's true. And there's a lot more into that science. I haven't gone that far into that piece of it, the actual science behind the rebooting of the immune system, but it is the white blood cells and all of that. And it makes sense what your mother was going through, because of course blood is produced in the marrow of the bone. And real quick, if you don't mind, if you want to lift her name so that we can lift her in prayer, that's not asking too much.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Her name is Mary Muhammad. She actually has been in remission. It hasn't quite been a year yet, but she, is still kind of coming out of dealing with the effects from, having those treatments in there. And I invited her to this Zoom, but I guess she wasn't able to make it. But there's also a sister, and I'm sorry I didn't catch her name, but I actually was talking to her about digital real estate. She was somebody that was commenting on one of Brother Ben's posts, and we were, speaking to each other, and I guess she's going through cancer right now. So I invited her to this Zoom, but I guess she wasn't able to make it. But if we can also include her in our prayers as well, because she's dealing with that currently also. And I'm sorry I didn't catch her name, but my phone is dead. But yeah, I just thank you for offering that.
Yes, man. Praise be to Allah.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
I was trying to find I said praise be to Allah, but then I was trying to find the part where it mentions what the messenger said about the 24, 48, and 72, but off the top of my head, after 24 hours, so he says if you eat one meal a day consistently, then you might experience no more than one headache a year. So you shouldn't experience no more than one headache a year, and you shouldn't really get sick no more than once a year. If you go for 48 hours, one meal every day for 48 hours for an extended period of time, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it directly in front of me, I didn't find the page, that you won't experience any headaches. And you might get sick once a year. Something to that effect. And then 72 hours, he said you'll never get sick, and you'll prolong your life. He said you can live more than you'll likely live more than 100 years if you was to eat once every 72 hours, and eating, of course, the right foods and the spiritual aspect and all that included. So
I'm not sure if this is the right passage, but can I read it real quick?
Oh yeah.
It says live a long time, eat once every 24 hours or once every 48 hours if you are able to do so. But if you have heavy manual work to do not try to eat once every 2 or 3 days. And if you eat once a day, you should fast every month for 2 or 3 days. By doing that, there will be no poison left in your body at the end of the year to make you sick even for 1 hour. But I think he went more into detail on it in book 1, as far as like the breakdown. But he said there will be no more sickness left at the end of the year.
Yeah, so no, that's not the way I was looking for, the one in book 1, but that's basically saying the same thing. Yes, ma'am. Same breakdown. So for people who don't know, who might not have the book, the messenger wrote Heidi to live part 1, and then he wrote part 2 to kind of answer some of the questions that the believers had. Not even just the believers, but even people in the community had about things that weren't mentioned in part 1 or that they needed more clarity on. So in part 2, it goes more into what was in part 1, which is what Sister just read. Yeah, so when I find that, I'll put it in the group or something. When I do find that off the call, because I don't want to keep everybody. If no one else wants to chime in now, I do study circles sometimes, so I know I'm not supposed to dominate the conversation. I don't want to do that. So, does anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns, ideas?
And maybe we can also share our goal. We can put it in the group too. So people who weren't here can share their goals too, but maybe we can share our goal.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with that one. My goal, I want to be able to, so actually I'll say this. My immediate goal for this one is to finish the 3 days. So like I said, I haven't done that consistently every month. My immediate goal is to do the 72 hours, abstinence from the food, the water, and the drink. And then a plus would be to actually, not raise my voice, not listen to any derogatory music, not watching Netflix, all of the other stuff on top of it. Long term, my goal is to be able to actually fast for a full 10 days. I've gone a little bit past 72 hours, but I've never experienced really more than 3 days. I want to be able to fast for like 10 days straight and see what that's like.
You're not gonna go, Brother Carlos?
Oh, okay. Peace and blessings. My short-term goal is to knock out the first fast, the 3 days, just doing water and coffee, and from that, doing the 3 days, the first of the week, how we're doing the fast. I'm looking for the Creator Allah to shift my mind and focus my direction with the fast. That's what I'm looking for, it to come from the fast. And long term, I plan to just be an instrument of power in the hands of the Creator. Whatever my lane is, however I need to move and step through the fasting, like you said, to level up, that stuck with me. I want to be able to level up each time in the mind first, and then that light be moved through my life and what we're doing with the tribe, this meeting other people, the nation building, and learning. So those are my goals.
Yes, sir.
Hi. So for me, my goal is to not eat for the 3 days. I'm going to attempt to do a 24-hour no drinking for that one also. And then my goal is to stay in a place of gratitude. And also, I've already been kind of shying away from certain music, mostly because I'm a emotional person. So when I tend to resonate with whatever I'm listening to. So also with that, I don't, or I haven't for a couple of days, had any conversations that involved finger pointing or gossiping and things of that nature. And that's my goal, is to kind of exit out of that type of conversation, even if it's just listening, because I find myself always listening, but not engaging. But to me, I'm encouraging it also. So that's something that I want to kind of X out of my life.
Man, anybody else want to share their goals?
I'm
I
like,
just
okay,
oh,
go ahead, bro.
go ahead, brother Michael. Go ahead.
Now go ahead. You go ahead, bro. You sound like you finna go in.
Yeah. So like I'm doing this fast because like this is one of the like roughest times for me like during my life because my mother passed the day before on my birthday. So like the day before my birthday, she died on the 3rd. My birthday is the 4th. And usually like I am really, really distraught. Like so I'm gonna take this time to try to just cleanse myself of all those bad memories and try to focus on the good memories and get my spirit aligned better because I if you I don't know how many of y'all have lost your mother or whatever, but it's not something that just easily goes away, and like it's really difficult for me. So I'm gonna be serious about this fast to get myself spiritually stronger for her because I know she wouldn't want me to grieve as hard as I grieve. So she would want me to be in a better place. So that's what I'm gonna do when I'm doing this fast. I'm not gonna eat any meat. I'm trying to drink the right amount of water, and I'm just gonna pray that I make it through through those 3 days.
Yes, sir. Me, no, I've never lost a parent, no, other than my father-in-law, but no, sir. And I know that's not even comparable. It's different when it's your mother.
And if I can chime in before the next person talks, Jason, I lost my mom August 9th, 2011, and or 2009, I'm sorry. And so I'm the only boy of two older siblings, and so I know exactly what that is like. Not from your shoes, but I know what it's like. And her anniversary just passed, and yeah, it's been some years now, but it's still the pain resonates. You'll never lose that. And if I can say anything, is just try to stay strong. Know that she would want you to move forward. You're taking care of your family and your son. She will want you to be that man that she raised, her baby. And so if that means anything, let that flow with you as you got your goals for your fast and whatnot, and take that with you. But it is hard, and I'm with you. And so you got your tribe, and you got the creator with you too. So you be blessed, brother.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace, family. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
We
sir.
can hear you.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those were real good words. Slate Stone, brother Slate Stone. That was real good words. And I actually my goal along with you guys is to complete this fast. And I want to get stronger on my 1 meal a day because you don't supposed to break it by, you don't supposed to eat anything in between. You're supposed to, be disciplined enough to wait. Like he said, between 4 and 6 is the best time to eat each day. So if you eat some chips or anything, you're breaking your fast. You're not giving your stomach a chance to rest. So my goal is to just get better on that, complete this fast. I really I really enjoy being a part of this ABS digital real estate, man. It keeps getting better and better. You know, every time I think it met its plateau, it you know, it keeps getting better and better. So I love the energy, everybody positive, trying to uplift each other. We got to keep doing that, and you know, this thing can keep going, keep going. If I could, I have How to Eat to Live Part 1. I wanted to read a little bit of the fasting part. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. I'm okay with that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Your host.
Okay. So this is book 1, page 19, fasting. He says, fasting is a greater cure of our ills, both mental and physical, than all of the drugs of the earth combined into one bottle or a billion bottles. Allah, God, in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, has taught me that fasting with the right kind of food is the cure for our ills. He has said to me that there is no cure in drugs and medicine, and this the world is now learning. We can take medicine all of our lives until it kills us, yet we are still ailing with the same old diseases. And then I want to go down a little bit. It talks about, I'm skipping a little bit, get the book, please, page 19, but I don't want to read everything. But this is, Allah taught me that one meal a day would keep us here a long time. We would live over 100 years. Eating one meal every 2 days would lengthen our lives just that much longer. He said to me that you would never be sick, eating one meal every 3 days. The fact that fasting is the cure for 90% of our ills is known by the medical scientists, but they do not teach you that. They know that tobacco, hard whiskey, and alcohol are not good for you and will shorten your life and kill you. But most of them are too weak themselves to stop drinking, smoking, or chewing tobacco. So they do not teach you that tobacco and alcohol drinks made into what is known as whiskey, beer, and wine are not good for you, although they know it to be true. So I'll just stop there. I'll just stop right there. So please get the book, but that's a little clarity on what we were just talking about on fasting, one meal a day, one meal every other day. 90% of our ills, fasting. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, sir. That's actually the exact passage I was looking for.
Yes, sir.
I can go next with sharing my goals. And it's funny because my goal has changed now since our Zoom meeting. But so of course, you know, first of all, my goal is to definitely complete my 3 days. I may be having a little bit of coffee. I'm gonna try not to, but I may be having a little bit of coffee. But hopefully I won't. That's why that's why I also wanted to do this, is because I know for me, I feel a difference when I do my 3-day fast going in. What I experience is different depending on what I've been eating pretty much, you know, before and leading up to that, and whether I get headaches and, you know, that sort of thing. So I'm hoping to really just do a good job this week leading up into the fast. So hopefully I won't need, you know, coffee or anything. But yeah, my goal is to complete those 3 days. But also I want to strive to also do my 5 prayers a day and read my Quran every single morning. That's something that I really struggle with, that I continue to strive to do. And I know we talk about how, you know, we've done fasting and we failed and we try again. And I think that's really the biggest point that I want all of us to take home here too is, you know, don't beat yourself up for not, you know, being successful with your fast. You're successful if you get back up and keep trying again. And so that, you know, those are my major 2 goals. And I would say my 3rd goal is after the fast to not to return to what I was doing before the fast, because I fall into that sometimes as well too. So really just using this as an anchor to just better long term and just, you know, consistency with my diet in general. Oh, and actually, I did want to say to Jason that I have not lost my mother, but as I said, she was struggling with cancer. And around the time that we found out that she had cancer, my father had passed away. And that was in September of 2014. So, you know, that is coming up shortly, September 17th, actually. And so it's always a time of year that's a little bit difficult for me as well. And so I really feel like I can relate in some ways, but as you know, Carlos shared, you know, we all have a different experience when it comes to that. But it was definitely a difficult time. And I just wanted to share some encouraging words with you, or at least that encouraged me. And that was whenever I'm feeling like, you know, like I'm struggling with that concerning my father, because my father really is the reason that Islam stayed in my life. And so when I lost him, I feel like I had used him as a crutch for me. And so when I lost him, I didn't realize that I had never standed on my own 2 feet in terms of my relationship with God. So that really was a big blow for me in my life. And I learned that I needed to, you know, establish my own relationship with God. So that was a big struggle. And I'm still learning how to stand on my own 2 feet, even though that was in 2014. But I always just think about, you know, I want to make him proud. I feel like I want to make him proud. If he was present, he would always tell us, my siblings and I, if he would just anchor us onto a lie. And I wish I caught that sooner, but you know, the biggest thing is you know, thinking about doing things that will make my father smile. And sometimes I'll hear his voice and hear him telling me things and giving me words of encouragement. So I don't know. I hope that you know, gives something to you in terms of, you know, just coming up on the anniversary of that with your mother as well.
Thank you.
Taylor look like she's trying to say something.
Yeah, I guess I'm the last to go, but listening to y'all, I first want to say that listening to y'all is crazy to hear that y'all still are dealing with it, because me and my siblings, we were just talking about this recently, where we're just starting to feel like we can actually like talk about it without just being over the top, because I lost my father at the end of May of this year. So I don't even know what to think about, like how I'm gonna feel next May, or like it's just hard to even think that I'm only 27 and I'm gonna have to go the rest of my life without having a father. So that is really hard. But yeah, it gives me some strength to hear y'all and know that I'm not going through it by myself. And that is my biggest thing, that I don't want myself to fall off. He was very proud before he passed, and I want to keep it that way. And never really even had a relationship. Well, I have, but I haven't had a relationship with my mom in over a decade. So that's just out the picture. So, but other than that, I'm glad to be in this accountability group, and my goals for this upcoming fast are going to be for me to eat 1 meal a day without any snacking or anything or any other drinks in between too. I will just stick to water, and hopefully Jelani should be done. I should be done nursing. I'm really trying to get her off. Like, I was planning on this being my last month, but I'm thinking next month will be my last month. So then I will definitely dive into maybe doing like for my next fast, maybe doing like 1 meal a day every other day. But like Sister Shaver said as well, after the fast, I don't want to go back to those habits. So I want to keep it continuous as 1 meal a day from here on out. So I'm excited to start.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. I haven't experienced any of that, so I don't really know what to say. except that I keep all of you in my prayers. And, you know, my condolences. And, you know, I mean, I really don't know what to say to that. And y'all are dealing with a lot. And you're strong. I'll tell you that, you're strong. I lost a sibling, but I don't even like to say that because I know it's not the same. It's not the same thing. But just stay strong, and you do it for them, but also do it for you, because you have to live with you. You have to live with yourself. Yeah. Now I'll leave it at that because I don't want to say the wrong thing or say too much. Anybody have any other type of closing remarks?
I was just going to add, you know, and one thing too that I want, because I want us to leave with a spirit, feeling good. You know, I want us to walk away from this meeting feeling, you know, excited about going into our fast, not only for the physical effects, but also the spiritual, and it's healing also. You know, what we do during this fast can also be healing for us and any things that we're going through at this point in time. And I don't think it's accidental that, you know, we have some similarities in our experiences going into this. But, you know, one thing that I just want, you know, I feel like we can all kind of relate to and take home with us is that we're all on this journey of life. We're not here forever. It's not permanent, you know, and we'll all experience at some point in time the transition of a life of somebody that we love or somebody that's close to us, whether that has occurred in the form of a parent or a sibling, or, you know, maybe it hasn't yet. But the main thing I think is good for us to keep in our hearts and keep in our minds is that those people are not really dead, in terms of keeping their memories alive, in terms of keeping their spirits alive, and, you know, just passing down the stories of them to other people and the lessons that we learn, sharing that with other people, and just keeping them alive that way and continuing to make them proud, and just putting it back on God, you know, putting it back on God. We're all an expression of God that's here for a certain period of time. And, you know, we come up to fulfill our purpose and we go back when Allah sees fit, and we all belong to him, you know. And so I just want us to just go back feeling no matter what we go through, we always have to keep Allah central in that and keep him as the focus in that, and cherish the time that we have here, and cherish the people that we, you know, get to meet, and the people that are in our lives, and our families, our friends, and all of those things. And we're going to make this a beautiful journey. It's all connected, and we're going to make this a beautiful and a meaningful journey. And we're not going to let any of that be in vain, you know. So I just want us to leave this meeting with a good spirit and feeling, you know, excited about continuing on our paths.
Yes, man. I seen Brother Slate come off. I didn't know if he had something he wanted to say. I seen you came off of mute.
No, we'll leave it on that note. We'll leave it on that note.
All right. So I want to close in a prayer, same as I opened up in a prayer. So if you can all follow me along silently, I'm going to read Al-Fatiha, which is the opening chapter of the Quran. Attention prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we serve, and Thee alone do we beseech for help. Guide us along the right path, the path of those upon whom Thou hast bestowed favors, not the path of those upon whom wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray after hearing the teachings. Ameen. Now, that being said, real quick, I want to get guidance, you know, because we don't typically open up and close the meetings in prayer. It's something I'm used to, so I know this isn't a mosque meeting or nothing like that. So maybe Brother Jason give me guidance on that, or someone can give me guidance on that, and I'll figure out whether I should do that going forward or not. But tonight it is what it is.
That was beautiful.
No doubt.
Peace, family.
Peace and blessings.
All right, peace, y'all. And don't forget to put your goals in the group so other people can see it.
Okay.
All right. Peace, y'all.